Greetings all my Revit users. I'm going to show you in this video how to create a stair detail sheet like the one that you see on the screen. And that will be with full dimensions and annotations. And you'll learn a lot of different little tricks that you can use to change, say, text size and whatever else. So stay tuned and we will. Alright, so here I am in a new architectural template. Now what I would do if I were designing a house is I would do all of these next moves I would do to the staircase on that house. Okay, you don't have to create a whole new file just for your stairs, but just saying that if this was a plan, then this is how I would handle the stairs. So I'm just going to show the stairs on here to prevent any kind of confusion. So what I'm going to do is just put a plain old set of stairs, starting from one point and going to the next. And there we are. So a plain old everyday set of stairs. And what I need to do, let's say I'm in my level 1 plan of my job. What I want to do is I want to right click on the level 1 and duplicate view and duplicate. And then this is the copy, level 1, copy 1. And I am going to rename it. And I'm going to call this stair top. Okay, so this kind of follows the path of the top front right side view on detailed items. Not necessarily that we would use a top front and right side view always on a set of stairs. It just depends. We would probably choose the angles which would be most useful for us. In this case, it will be a top. It will be a side view, a right side view, and a sectional view. Okay. So stair top right there in my floor plans. Okay, and now what I want to do, because I am going to have an elevation view as well, so I want to go to the right side over here. This will be kind of like my right side view. So I'll go to the east right there, and I'll click on east, and I will duplicate. Okay, and I will rename that. Stair right side. Or, you can abbreviate that if you want to, because this is, your plan right now. And let's see, and then I want to do a sectional. So I'll go back to my level 1. I'm going to go to the View tab, and I'm going to click on Section. And let's see which way do I want to go. Not that way. Nope, I just did that. Okay, try it again. Okay, I want to draw it right up through there. So I'm kind of getting a right side view, sectional view of my stairs. All right, so I have that created, and that new sectional view will actually show up right down here. Okay, so there's my section. So I am going to rename this. I don't have to duplicate this one. I don't need it for anything else. So I'm just going to rename it. So this will be stair sectional or section. I probably shouldn't use sectional. I should just use section. And there it is. So now I've got those 3 sheets, or those 3 views created. I'm also going to create a 3D view, and this is just for a courtesy. I'm going to create a 3D view, and I'm going to, I can either duplicate this one, and I think I will. I'll just duplicate that one just to have a separate view. Okay, and I'll name this one Stair Oblique. That's typically what you call them back in the old days. I think they still do that. But Stair Oblique, and that kind of gives you a 3D view of the stairs that we'll also put on the sheet. All right, the next thing we want to do is go ahead and create that sheet. So I'm going to go to View again, and I'm going to go over here to Sheet. Click on that. I'm just going to use the one that is conveniently available currently. And there I am. I have my sheet. All right, now I'm not going to start messing with that sheet just yet. I'm going to go over here to Stair Top, I'm going to set up stair top the way I want to view it in my sheet. So first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and, crop my borders in. We don't need that much space for this view, so I'm going to bring that all in very close. Leave enough room for any annotations if you need them. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do other than that is go to Visibility Graphics over here in my Properties panel. Click on that. Then I'm going to click on the Annotation Categories, and I'm going to scroll down to Levels right there. I mean, not Levels. I'm sorry. S. I'm looking for S. Sectional or Sections. I've gone too far. Okay, Sections right here. I click Apply and OK. All right, so now I don't see that section emblem on there. It's still there though. The section is still a thing, and yeah, I might want to show that later or maybe not. Who knows? And who really cares? Okay, so here I can get a couple of measurements, and I'll go to my Annotate. Use my line dimension. I want to get a full width measurement of my stairs, and that's from railing to railing. Okay, and also you can see my numbers are a little big right now. I can go over to this thing here in the status bar and change that to 1/4, and you see my letters a little bit smaller. And of course I might even edit those later to something even a different size. So, but let's just carry on. All right, next I'm going to go from the outside of the stringer cover to outside of stringer cover, and I just pull this down and I let it snap. I let the dimension line snap, and then I place it. And then I'm going to go from inside cover to inside cover, and then I have the width of, pretty much the width of the tread. However, we know that treads must be, 3 feet. These treads will be covered a little bit by the stringer covers. However, what's most important here is that you have the 3 feet from wall to wall when you're finished. And you will, if you do it like this, you will have that 3 feet from wall to wall, because the stringer cover only goes up from the tread a few inches, 6 inches maybe, or something like that. Okay, so we have that one labeled or dimensioned. I may need to label something on here, so I can go to Annotate and Text and create a text box. And my text box just might say something to the effect of, according to IRC, I think it's like 311.7 something. Okay, so that would be a note saying, use the code. Don't be playing around, use the code. All right, and then I want to make that smaller, so I'm going to change that to 3/32 in there, and I'll move this arrow and just kind of point to what I'm indicating. Maybe move this down a bit. All right, so that's just telling them according to code. Let's see, let me adjust that a little bit more. Okay, so that takes care of my top view. Now I want to go to my stair right side. And in this one, I want to go to Visibility Graphics like I did last time. And I want to turn off things that I don't need. If you're doing a full plan, typically in this view, you'll turn just about everything off. Turn off your floors if they're in the way. Sometimes if you leave the floors, they could be useful, and I'll show you that in a moment. But turn off any walls that might be blocking your view, anything that might be confusing your view. But I'm going to go to Annotation Categories, and in this picture alone, I am just going to turn off the levels. Okay, that way I don't have those levels in my picture. Then I'm going to go to the crop, and I'm cropped pretty good already. Okay, and it probably defaulted to that from my previous screen, from my previous plan. All right, next one is I'm going to go to Stair Section. We haven't actually looked at this one yet. Okay, and of course its crop is also already set by default because I set that first one and it just kind of followed along. And I want to go to visibility graphics, and I want to go to annotation categories, and here I also want to get rid of levels. Okay, and then I'm going to go to model categories, and I think I can find railings in here because I want to hide the railings, because in this view I really don't need to see the railings. They just confuse things. All right, so here I'm going to get some specific measurements of my stairs and my risers and treads. All right, so in this one, let's go to back to the right side. In this view, only thing I really want is I want the thickness of my cover. Okay. All right, and if I go here and change this to 1/4:1, that will make those numbers smaller. I want to get my height, which I can do the height in this one, or I can do it in my sectional. But I'm going to go ahead and do it in this one because I am also going to be getting the height of my balusters. Let's see. So first, aligned. So I'll get the bottom, and I forgot one thing. We first want to use a detail line. Okay, so I did that under Annotate, detail line. And I want to draw a floor right on top of this riser. Okay. I'm going to draw it about 1 inch or 3/4 to 1 inch thick. And I'm going to come up a little bit longer. This will kind of represent the nosing. And it's probably a little bit too long. So let's shorten that. Okay, but the length here isn't important because you're going to get that measurement on a different view. Just kind of showing the structure. Okay, so there's the floor. And annotate, aligned. Okay, get from the top of the floor to the very surface of the bottom floor, which would be right at that stringer cover. All right, so there we have our distance. And we might also want to get kind of a distance between here and here, which isn't like crazy important because they know that that has to be a certain height, but I'm just going to put it on there anyway. And that gives them the height of this. Of course, all of their balusters are actually going to be a different length. As you see, there's like 2 or 3 balusters on each tread, and you see how it angles down up here, but it doesn't angle down at the bottom, so they would definitely be cutting some different size balusters to fill in up here. Okay, so we have that. Let me see what else might be important here. And you could, if you're gonna do anything special, you can annotate in here as well. And let's say I want to customize this set of stairs. I'm going to go to the text box, and I am going to choose this arrow type. I'm going to draw some arrows from, say, the handrail, and then I'm going to type, handrail, okay, oak, indicating the material. Okay, and see oak, and maybe the certain kind of stain color and model number if you have the model number of that stain color. So you might say, walnut, and not just any walnut. You might want to put the brand on there as well. So any information will indicate how you want to treat the finished product. Okay, so there we are. We're good. We do need to adjust our text size. So we can click here and go to 3/32 Arial and see if that will help us any. It didn't go down. Let me try this. 3/32 Arial, and that's pretty good. Okay, we can use 3/32. And you can, of course, go even smaller. I'll show you that real quick. Let's say I wanted to go smaller than 3/32. So I would just go to edit that type of text, and I would click on duplicate, and I would name it whatever I wanted. say like 1/8 of an inch. No, not 3/8. 1/8. Okay, and then I would come down to text size in this area right here and change that also to 1/8 inch. And okay, and you can see how the size of that changed just a little bit. Supposed to be a comma there. Okay, so anyway, just fill that out, put in more information, and actually if I want to put in more information, I really need to go smaller than this. So I'm going to edit the one I just did to 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to change the name also. Always change your name, because if you don't, you'll get confused. Okay, so now it's pretty good size. I can now put more text boxes down here. So I'd want to also put a text box that might describe my balusters. If they're going to be different, of course, there might be a specific model number of baluster that you want. And when it comes to creating these balusters or using the balusters in Revit, they're rather limited as to style. So typically you would just annotate whatever style that you wanted. There would probably be a model number from a manufacturer or a building supply store. And then of course there might be a stain and or paint color that you were particular to. So just like I did this box over here, you would want to do another box to indicate all of that. And the same with the stringer cover. Okay, I get my words mixed up sometimes, but it's the same as my stringer cover. I may want to indicate any specific treatments for that, and I do apologize for that bell. All right, so that will pretty much handle your right side view of your stair. The next one we'll work on is Stair Section, and this is the one that we can get our riser details and our details on our treads. And of course you might want to make that smaller. We don't need to see that much of it to get this done. All right, so we're focused in pretty close. We're going to change this to 1/4 1. I was thinking about maybe even 1/2 1, but I don't know. I can determine that later. Okay, so here, align dimension. And I want to get a riser height. So basically I come to the bottom of a tread to the bottom of the next tread, and that will give me my riser height. Okay, and we are going to change that text size, and I'm going to duplicate this one. This one definitely needs to be a little bit smaller. Okay, and then change it in here as well. And for some reason that didn't work. I might have changed the wrong line there. 1/16. Okay, yeah, I changed the witness line or something there. Let me change that back to 3/32 of an inch. Find my text size. Oh wait, no, I did change my text size. Witness line grip to element. I'm sorry, I know I'm probably confusing you right now. Text size, I changed that to 1/16 of an inch, and it did not change. Let's try to do this. Let's try to click on it, cancel. So click on it and then go over here, and I should be able to see the one that I just created. There we go. That's more like it. You can even go smaller than that if you need to, down to a 32nd or 3/32 or anything like that. So the next thing I want to do is get a riser. No, that was the riser. So go back to annotate and let's get a tread. And you might want to spread them apart a little bit, your dimensions, so they're not all crowded together. So here I'm measuring to the front of the tread all the way back to the back of the tread, which butts up against the riser. Okay, so that is that. I can also, as far as measuring the thickness of this riser, I probably just want to annotate that. And I could also annotate the nosing, but if not, I would just click here and then click on the front of the nosing, and then that would be 1 inch for the nosing. And let's see, I can't think of anything else we might need. We need riser. Okay, we got riser height, we got tread depth, and that's it. And again, there might be some particular annotations that you might want to put off to the side, maybe describing the nosing or something. Maybe you're not going with this stock nosing. Maybe you're going with something more decorative, some sort of metal or something like that. So you would want to annotate that in one of those text boxes with an arrow pointing to it, describing exactly what it is that you're after. All right, so that does it for the stair section. I'm going to click save while I'm thinking about it. And I'm going to call this one stair video demo, not dempo. Save. All right, so here we are. We got our stairs. Now I want to work with my sheet. If I come over here again to my project browser and find sheets, click on the little plus mark out beside of sheets, and okay, double click on the sheet so I can go to the sheet. For some reason it's not wanting to go to the sheet. Do I have it open over here? Yes, right there. Okay, so I'll also want to name that. So rename this to stair detail. So all of my stair details will be on this sheet. And I didn't do that correctly. Let me redo that. Okay, this should be the number A101, and whatever number that it actually falls in your set of plans. It doesn't have to be A101. Okay, and this is where you actually change the description. Okay, so there is our sheet, and from here we're going to drag all of those views. Stair top, just drag it and place it. We'll adjust it in a moment. Stair oblique. Okay, stair section, or stair right side, and stair section. Okay, so now we're going to make some adjustments to all of these. I can actually double click on the port, and it's like I'm actually inside the actual drawing itself. So here I can also do some other changes if I forgot any. And annotation categories, we want to turn off levels. All right, so that turns that off. And I'm going to double click in a white space to get out of that viewport. Okay, and what else am I going to do here? I need to turn on my cropping box. So I want to make this a little bigger. And the gist of what I'm doing here, of course, you see how to move this onto the screen. And now you're looking at how I edit things like the box. And I'm also going to go in here and edit things like the scale. So instead of 1/8 of an inch, I might go 1/4 or 1/2 inch on that to get a bigger size. And it's really weird how Revit works. You have to click and double click in certain places to get in and out of your port. So I need to actually double click and resize my port. Okay, then double click in a white space. Now I can move it where I need it. Okay, and then I want to move this, but I can't move it right now. I got to click in a white space and then click on it. Now I can move just the text. And I want to place that right up under. And that is supposed to show my scale size. I don't know why it doesn't. Okay, now I moved it, but I also want to shorten it. So I got to click in the white space again, click on the actual image or the viewport, and then draw this in closer. Okay, now that should show I don't know why it doesn't, but it doesn't show my scale, which in these it does. You can see how it shows 1/4 and 1/4 again. Now, of course, I'll increase those depending and get a better lineup like I showed you at the beginning, and I'll go ahead and open that and show it to you again. But as you can see that I've got all of my boxes the same, even, not the same size. They're different sizes. They're, the size that is appropriate for the image within. And you can see I have lined up the tops and then the sides. I've lined up all my text in a certain location, and it's the same location on each drawing. I even have the same size gutter in here. And on this one, I didn't turn off my railings. So I'll go here and turn off my railings. All right, so that's what you should see. It's just like that right there, minus a couple of adjustments I need to make there. So that's how it would print, and that would be the instructions for your stairs or the stair detail.